Is it that time? I know it's that time. It's Thirsty Thursday. I'm still thirsty because the heat is on and that heat is dry. How's the dry heat with your hair, Amber?
It's fine. My hair actually, it cooperates really well in every environment.
Does it really?
Yeah, and I have naturally really, really curly hair.
Yeah.
Like island curls.
Now island curls. Now, I wonder if that's something like because of what you eat, or is it more because of like stuff like product that you put in your hair? Or do you think it's like maybe you have avocados and good oils in your body that's good for your hair? Like, what is it? What's the secret?
I don't know the secret.
What's the secret to good hair, Amber? What's the
Being
secret?
God's favorite.
Oh my gosh, tell me. I love it.
No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. Oil.
Yeah.
Putting it directly in the hair?
Yeah.
Very cool. I might have to do that when I get my little seedlings popping up once a season, right? Yeah, it's Thursday again. It's super chill. You know that we're live from the loft here. We're going to have a great show today. And, I do appreciate that Amber showed up early, just like my last guest. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Because that's always something I wonder is like, when is the guest going to show up? Are they going to show up 10 minutes before? And you were like 10 minutes early.
Yeah.
So thank you very much. It says a lot about you. How you do one thing is how you do everything. Yeah, we all know that one, don't we? Well, if you're in the Chicagoland area, we've had a lot of cold. And yes, I'm talking about the weather for a second. But really, we just want to give some, we want to share some empathy and share some love and kindness to those in California. There's a lot going on besides, there's a devastating fire, obviously, but there's so many whys and hows behind it. We're not going to get into that. We care more about the human side of it. We want to make sure that our friends and family and, of course, fellow humans are okay out there. I want to give a shout out to Kaizen. I know that he had to evacuate his home. And, so we're going to do that.
Yeah. All
right. Well, shall we get this party started with your quote?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. So tell us your quote and share with us where you came up with it, right?
Okay, my quote is "Be it until you become it." And if you know me, you know that's like my phrase that I use in all of my speeches, a bunch of my content, even in just like lifestyle. My friends and family know it too. How I came up with that quote, someone asked me that the other day, and I literally could not think of when I came up with it or how it came about.
Yeah.
So I have no idea, but it came about just a few years ago. And basically the meaning is how you need to step into the version of yourself that you want to be before you become it, if that makes sense.
It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So what does a person do in the morning? Who do they hang out with? What is the routine? How do they dress? How do they act? You have to step into that version of yourself before you can actually become it. And people say it's is that fake it till you make it? And I'm like, no, it's be it until you become it. You step into it until you become it.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. And on that note, welcome to this episode of Live Beyond Default live stream. It's your weekly dose of personal growth. My name is Dave.
I'm Amber.
And this is episode 80. We are live from the loft. And yes, we had some fireworks going there because cool. We're starting off with a bang already, right? We appreciate you being here, of course, on YouTube, on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and you can and will watch the replay on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. So share in the comments if you have something to say. We already have a lot of people on. We so appreciate you being here. And take out your notebooks because this is going to be golden nugget after golden nugget. We know that the people that watch and listen to the show, they are growth minded. They are self-reflective, and they are always challenging themselves to become better. So thank you so much, everybody, for hopping on. Frank, we appreciate you here. Jeffrey, thank you so much. There's Carolyn. Awesome. There's Yanni. Be it until you become it. Yeah. We love that quote, don't we?
Yes.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us, Kelly. And all right. Well, why don't we just dive right in?
Yeah.
Because I know we have a lot to talk about.
I know.
And so much has been going on. And I always like to start the show with how we met.
Okay.
And and a lot of times I say to people I don't really even know you.
Yeah.
Like, I barely know you, and here you're sitting up in my place, and we're live from the loft doing our thing. So, yeah, Amber, share a little bit on how we met, and share a little bit about how we met and what that was like, because I thought it was kind of funny.
I think one word to describe how we met was just awkward. Like, it was just awkward and weird and uncomfortable, but then also like kind of casual and chill too. I don't know. So we met at a networking group, actually, where I attended I went 1 month prior to me speaking. So they have like speakers go every single month and speak, right? Or every so often. So they invited me to go. So I went. That's where I ran into you, and it was my first time meeting you.
Yeah.
And we just talked and I think exchanged Instagrams, and that was literally it. Like, we didn't even have an actual conversation, just like, oh, what's your Instagram? And that was kind of it.
Yeah.
And then I spoke the following month, and you couldn't make it because I think you were out of town.
Yeah, I was in the California Redwoods.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then after that, you reached out to me on email, I believe.
Okay.
And was it email or Instagram? I think it was email.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you asked if we could get together and do like a coffee or like a lunch or something.
Yeah.
And you know, when you get those emails, it's kind of like, okay, what does this person want?
Yeah.
You know, especially if you're in the networking space and like entrepreneurship, it's like you have to figure out, okay, is this person going to be worth spending my time and going to lunch and, you know, spending time and doing all these things, not in a rude way, but, you know, it's like, is this going to be beneficial in both areas? Can I help this person, and can this person help me?
Yeah.
So then I was like, I don't know anything about him. I have no idea who he is or what he does. I kind of stalked his Instagram a little bit, still had no idea. I was like, okay, it's fine, whatever.
Yeah.
And I literally messaged you back and I was like, are you looking for coaching, or like, are you trying to like buy a service of mine, or what do you want, basically? And then you're like, no, I'm just trying to go to lunch and be friends or something.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah. It was something like that.
Yeah.
It was hang out.
Yeah. You're like, I just want to hang out.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, sure.
That seems normal.
So then we went to this Italian restaurant and shared a pizza and salad, and then talked about life. And then, that's kind of, we just had a lot of mutual connections and got along really well. And here we are.
Yeah. So there's a few things we can learn from that, right? You always have the second opportunity to make a first impression. I know that commercials, I know that so much of this is, oh, you have to look a certain way, you have to act a certain way, you're going to blow it if you're not perfect the first time. And I think a lot of the people that I meet, a lot of the time, it is kind of awkward at times because they don't know me. I'm approaching them. Sometimes I say goofy things, right? But I'm just being me. And I think that's a way of not only being authentic and talking to people, but it also weeds out people too. Because if people don't like the vibe, they'll recognize it right away and they'll just run and they don't want to be a part of it. And it's good because I'm not going to chase anybody. But more importantly, what I like what you said there was, you wanted to know, like, you were setting that boundary. Yeah. Like, is this for business and is this for that? And that's really important because you've got to meet a ton of people, right? Yeah. Like all the time. Yeah. How big's your database?
A lot.
Like a lot, like what? Thousands?
Yeah.
Yeah. 10,000?
Like more.
Yeah. Yeah. More than 10,000 in your database. I love it. How many followers do you have on Instagram?
I think I have 30,000, 35,000.
Yeah.
Something like that.
So you're almost at 40K.
Yeah.
That's big.
I know.
Look at you.
That's cool.
Look at you. Yeah. So I love it. Remember that. Like, ask people questions and just get the vibe from them, right? And we always like to think like there's always different ways that relationships can go in the beginning. Yeah. Maybe we're just not going to get along. But if we do, maybe we'll just be friends. Maybe we'll start a business together. Maybe we'll be more than friends. The opportunity's there. But I think more importantly, like not having outcome dependence and not wanting to take anything. Like I didn't want to take anything from Amber besides like bring value, learn a little bit about her, and just share some time. And we ended up sharing some pizza. So I think it's a good lesson for everybody, right? Especially after this weird time of how do we approach people and everyone's so used to like doing this where it's like there's not much of this anymore. Sure. You have a lot of fans coming on here.
Yay.
Christine, thanks for joining us. Hi, I appreciate that. Carolyn, be who you want to become. Look at that. Myra is on here. Good morning. Thank you so much.
Saban, that's one of my clients.
Look at that. Saban is on here. Good to see you too. Thank you so much. All right. So tell us a little bit about younger Amber and the family side, and maybe was there one or two aha moments that you had when you were a kid that you're still applying today?
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Start off with the young Amber. What's going on?
Young Amber. Oh my gosh. She was so different than what I am now. I miss her.
You miss her?
Yeah. Sometimes I'm like, I wish I could just be her again. She was so cool.
Oh.
But I know the younger self would be like, oh my gosh, I want to be who I am right now.
Yeah.
You know, like, oh, she's so cool. You know what I mean?
What do you think younger self would think of you today?
That I'm so cool.
Yeah. I like that.
So anyways, okay, besides that, so little Amber, she was a troublemaker, like caused a lot of problems, but I had a great upbringing. Honestly, my parents spoiled me. I got everything that I could have asked for, honestly, but I did struggle a lot with family issues and trauma and things like that when I was younger I didn't really realize. And then as I got older, you start thinking back to things and you're like, wow, that played such a big role in how I handle relationships or how I handle certain conversations or things in life, right?
Yeah.
So I think around my freshman year of high school that's still little Amber, and she was just dealing with a lot. So I was dealing with my grandpa who passed away, and then my parents got divorced around the same time. And my grandpa was the tie to the family. So when he passed away, that's when my parents were like, okay, we're going to finally get divorced, because they were separated, but they didn't officially get divorced, because in my culture where I come from, it's kind of looked bad upon to get divorced.
Yeah.
Nobody in my family ever got divorced. So my parents were kind of the first to break that.
Yeah.
And they kept it a secret for a very long time. Literally.
The divorce?
Yeah. And when I would go to parties, I would have to lie to family and be like, oh, my mom's sick or my dad's traveling or whatever.
Yeah.
My parents would kind of make me do it. And I don't think they had ill intentions. It was just we don't want people in our business. You don't share things that are inside, in our household outside publicly. They didn't know how to handle the situation. So they were just doing their best. And
they were just doing their best.
They were.
They were just keep going. I had to say that.
So then from there, basically, freshman year, I almost failed out of high school. I was doing really, really bad. So I literally had to convince my math teacher, if I don't pass this final, that I will fail my freshman year of high school. So I literally went up to her. I convinced her. I'm like, please, you don't understand everything that I'm dealing with at home. My parents are going through a divorce. This is this, blah, blah, blah. And I was I made up a bunch of crap. My parents' divorce was not messy at all. They were very civil, handled it pretty well. Yeah. And I was like, my parents' divorce is so messy. And I don't have a home and all these things, Yeah, yeah. I got to do what I got to do. So I convinced my math teacher somehow to pass me. And then I passed my freshman year of high school. Then from there, I'm like, okay, I can't do this. I don't want to have to convince another teacher again next year to have to pass me. What if there's multiple teachers, things like that? Yeah. So that night I went home and I put together a presentation in my bed. Literally, I was up at midnight putting together this presentation. And the next day I presented it to my parents. And it was about all the reasons why I should be homeschooled. And I put it on Apple AirPlay on the TV. And I was like, I have something to share with you guys. And they're like, what do you have to share? I'm like, a presentation. They're like, school's over. And even if there was school, you would not be sharing a presentation with us. So what are you doing? I was like, trust me, this is good. And then all the reasons I should be homeschooled. So then I talked about the benefits for them, how it's going to be so, so good for them. Yeah. And basically, I called that my first sales pitch.
I love this.
Because I literally sold my parents on the idea of being homeschooled.
Oh, it's great.
And the background I come from, Middle Eastern Indian, it's you go to school, you go to college, you become a doctor or a lawyer or an engineer, then you get married to either a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer, then you have kids and they do the same thing. Yeah. So it was very not normal. And then from there, my parents were not a fan of the idea. And then long story short, basically they ended up saying, okay, you know what, that's fine. But my whole journey was very different. When I was homeschooled in a different country.
In a different country?
Yeah, in Mexico.
Mexico? Yeah,
my dad had a vacation home there. He still lives there. And he told me the only way I could be homeschooled is if I go to Mexico and experience different cultures and, all this stuff. And being 16 years old at the time when he told me, I was like, heck yeah, I get to go tanning every day. I get to go to the pool. I was like, take me to Mexico. Let's go.
I love that.
Yeah. So, I mean, that was kind of a big part of it.
I love that.
But at the same time, I did have like a homeschool tutor who came to my house every single day. And really my dad like really invested a lot into making sure that I had the best education and everything like that. So yeah, it turned out really well. But I think that was a huge pivotal moment for me because that was like the first time I was able to do a sale in a way, like kind of convince people. And it was so much fun. And I was like, I get to literally create my reality. I can do whatever I want. At 15, 16 years old, I'm like, wow, if this could work for my parents who literally would be the last people to allow homeschooling, then this can work in so many other areas of my life. So that kind of just began that for me to see like there's so many possibilities out here.
I love that. I absolutely love that. You were influencing your teacher at the time. You were influencing your parents. You put together this presentation on AirPlay. I do that here sometimes. I throw on AirPlay. It's the greatest thing ever. But I could just imagine freshman Amber doing this. Oh.
And my first homeschool tutor, I actually fired her.
You fired her?
Yeah. I was like, you're fired because I was still bad at that time. Like I didn't want to do homeschooling, and we had a lot of like prospects come in and, you know, from like the US to come to Mexico to like, be like a live-in tutor and literally live at home. Right. And don't get me wrong, that tutor was honestly like kind of weird. So I didn't really like her. My dad didn't even like her either. So I was like, you know what? I think I'm just going to fire you.
Yeah, you got the vibe, right?
Yeah. So then I fired her, and my parents make fun of me to this day. They're like, how did you fire your own teacher? And I was like, I didn't like her.
It's the greatest thing ever. Oh, there's so much to learn right here, right? Just really expressing yourself at a young age and going for it and creating your own reality. I love that. Carlton, turn on your mic and turn on your video camera. We are going to hop you on in one moment. So if you're joining us, we're on Facebook, we're on LinkedIn, we are on YouTube, and we are on Instagram. And of course, you could check out the replay on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Take out that notebook. Yes. Amber's already dropping a bunch of nuggets, which is awesome. And Christine, thank you. Yes, our time is so valuable. Good to vet each other out. Yep. Yeah. And you don't have to have everybody like you. You don't have to be friends with everybody. Yeah. There's so many other people in the world, and it's like, you just move on. Yeah. Right? For sure. Bring value to everybody and then just move on. All right. We have a guest coming on here. We have Carlton.
Good morning. How are you guys doing?
Carlton.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Great. I just wanted to check in. I've never done the live stream, so you guys have great content.
For some reason, give me a second. Talk again.
I just wanted to join the live stream and just check it out. But I love the content, Dave. Great stories today.
Wait, we can't hear you.
I don't know why I am not hearing you, my friend. And I don't know if anybody else is hearing you. Okay. So give me 1 second here. It'll just take a moment. Audio. Let's see. All right, Carlton, try again.
I just wanted to jump in and just see the live stream, just participate and just welcome, just say you guys do great content. I love the stories on every presentation.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining. We can hear you now. And tell us a little bit, did you have a moment there when Amber was discussing her childhood?
I think it's, I think most of us, coming from a Korean background too, I think it's just mostly, I totally understand what she's saying about growing up. It's just, ethnicity is always really important to us. I don't think a lot of people get us, but I do like how she kind of weaseled her way out of a class. I think I've done that myself too when I was her age. But it's just personal, and I think we all get it. One of my favorite shows is like Everybody Loves Raymond, and I think the story that they say in that show is just, I think everyone can kind of get that as well. So a lot of these shows just really present themselves well.
Thank you. Hey, man, thanks for joining in. Awesome. Thank you, everyone, for letting us know. They can all hear you. Now we can hear you. I just had to flip a switch. Thanks, brother. I appreciate you being on.
Yeah. All right. See you soon.
All right. All right, Carlton. Yep. Looks like everybody can hear him too. Okay. We have the goodness of technology here. So you had a couple aha moments there, right? Talk about now moving forward with those aha moments. That was high school, Amber. So around what year was that?
2014, 2015, around then.
Yeah. And I'm really curious to fast forward a few years after that. And if I miss anything along the way, you could bring it up. Okay. I want to fast forward to 2020.
2020. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So that's 4 or 5 years later, right?
Yeah.
So share us a little bit, one or two more things that maybe happened in between. And then I want to on-ramp into when the world shut down. And how did Amber deal with it? Did Amber just survive, or did she just thrive? I think I know the answer to that, but we want to hear some struggles, right?
Yeah.
Like what went on in these 5 years? Again, I don't know you that well, although we got to know each other a little more at some other events recently. But yeah, share with us what happened up until 2020.
Oh my goodness. So much changed from 2014 to 2020.
Okay.
Let's see where to even begin. I started a business and it was running really, really successful. I was in the fitness space. So I was a fitness coach doing that online, growing my social media platform, building my brand, building a really powerful brand on social media to open up opportunities for myself.
And when you say fitness, so you're like lifting weights, you're doing cardio, you're recording yourself at that time, like your journey?
No cardio.
Okay, no. No cardio here for a little while either, you know, if you couldn't tell or not.
No cardio.
Awesome. That's awesome.
I don't do that.
So were you just recording yourself while you were like lifting weights or doing push-ups and presenting your journey? Like, how did that look?
Yeah, I was literally just documenting my journey of going to the gym, because when I was living in Mexico, I had nothing to do. I had no friends. I had no family there really, because my dad was constantly traveling. I didn't know the language. My dad was like, you can't go out alone unless you're with one of his like people, you know? So I lived in a gated community at that time. And my dad had this gigantic home with all these amenities and this pool and a gym and everything. And I'm like, I should take advantage of it because I have nothing else I can do besides use this stuff, you know? Yeah. So then I started going to the gym. And at that time, growing up, I was a super confident girl, but the one thing that I was really insecure about was my body. And I was super, super skinny and tiny and petite. Yeah. I'm still petite, but like I was super tiny, where people would ask me in like high school or even younger if, you know, I would eat when I'm at home and things like that. And I don't think they meant it in a harmful way or in a rude way. It was just like, you're very skinny and it looks like you don't eat, you know, if you have food at home.
Yeah. So they weren't like, maybe they didn't realize like the effect that would have, but they were maybe just curious, like, hey, you're kind of skinny, right?
Yeah.
What's
exactly.
Up?
Yeah.
Do you eat at home?
Family. Yeah.
Do you eat? No, I don't eat. They starve me.
And anyone that knows me, they know that I eat like a lot.
Yes, I will attest to that after that first lunch where we broke bread. Oh, that pizza. Yeah. You had the last piece.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's great. All right, keep going.
So from there, basically, I just documented my journey. And I was going to the gym, working out, sharing that. And obviously my lifestyle at that time was so different than the average teenager in high school. You know, I was living in a different country. I was going to the gym, sharing on social media. And that was like prime time social media, to be honest. Yeah. Because that was still when it was booming and growing. It still is to this day, but it was peak for you to jump in at that moment, you know? Yep. So I jumped in, and fitness coaching wasn't like as popular as it is now. It literally wasn't that big of a thing. So it was having personal trainers at gym, but not being an online fitness coach. I didn't even know what that was. So I was watching YouTube videos on YouTube, literally, of how to like get a bigger butt and how to grow some gains and do things, you know, like all the things that a high schooler wants. Yeah. And then from there, it just started gaining a lot of attention. Like a lot of people started noticing differences in my body and my mindset was evolving. And I think that was the best thing for me, where I realized fitness had such a big effect, not only physically, but mentally, emotionally, and in so many other ways in my life. And I loved it. And I fell in love with fitness. I started just investing all my time and energy into working out, looking up programs, looking up how to have the best diet, just everything about fitness and nutrition. Yeah. And everyone was reaching out to me, and I had no idea what to do, because they were asking me, can you train me? What is your diet? What is your, you know, meal plans?
Yeah, people are asking you this.
Yeah, on social media.
Did you get anybody hitting on you?
Probably. I don't
like
remember.
Sliding into your DMs.
Probably.
Like, hey, what's up, girl?
Yeah. Cool. I'm sure. Cool.
Yeah. And you know, that's okay. Like a compliment here and there is one thing, right? And it's probably good for the mind, but at the same time, you're setting boundaries too. You're like, I get it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. So from there, I told my dad, I'm like, I'm getting so many people reaching out to me, asking me about my programs and like what my workout plan is, if I can share my diet, all this stuff. And my dad, being an entrepreneur, he's like, you need to start charging these people. I'm like, for what? My YouTube videos that I watch? Like, I didn't think of turning this into a business, but him being an entrepreneur, he's like, this is literally a perfect opportunity that's being presented to you. Now you have to take advantage of it and
love
run with it, right?
Love it. Learning by example, leading by example.
Yeah. So then actually I moved back senior year to Illinois, moved in with my mom, did the normal graduation, prom, high school type of stuff. Then from there, I started training my friends for fun, but wasn't charging them. Then they started noticing differences in their body. Then that gave me the confidence that, okay, it's not only working for me, but it's working for them too. So then I came out, long story short, with programs, guides, started doing coaching, and basically scaled my fitness coaching business to 6 figures at 18, 19 years old.
Boom.
Yeah. And I didn't have any idea what I was doing. Just literally using social media, my phone, and talking about weights and food.
And you said you didn't know what you were doing.
I barely knew what I was doing. Yeah.
So I love that. So it's almost like we have to prepare. This has to be perfect. I have to read this book. I have to learn this before I try this. Mm-hmm. And then there's the other angle that says ready, fire, aim. Like, just get ready, take that shot, and you can aim later and figure it out later. And what I love about what you just shared there was you were pulled by something that you love to do. And then somebody gave you a little nugget like, hey, you should charge for this. You should do this. Yeah. And then you gained some data points too, not only in your body, wherever you wanted to grow, in your butt, in your arms and whatever, but you saw other people now saying, hey, look at me. I'm looking better. And look at my body here. And you're like, wow, I'm doing well for them. So what I love, I just love the idea that, she didn't know what she was doing. Yeah. And when we say that we have to wait to do something, it's really just our ego. Mm-hmm. It's really just because we're afraid. Yeah. Right? I mean, look at this setup that we got here. We're not in a studio. We don't have like mics and cameras everywhere. Yeah. No, we're sitting here on the blue chairs, live from the loft. Why? Because it's coming from our hearts. Yeah. We don't have to know what we're doing with all this stuff. The sound didn't work on that guy that chimed in, Carlton, but we're doing it anyway. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So tell us now, as that moves on, you're starting to get more confident. Yeah. You're starting to get some cash, right? Are we throwing that into the stock market or what?
At that time, I didn't.
Did you buy Bitcoin at that time?
Oh my gosh, 2020. I think 2020, 2021 was when I did. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. See?
Bitcoin and XRP, if anyone.
Yeah, XRP is great.
Yeah. Did you see it today this morning?
I did not look yet.
Oh my gosh.
No, I don't look at that until around 9 o'clock. I don't look at
I got a notification on my phone. So.
Did you?
Yeah.
I love it. Okay, so now you're growing this business. You're in high school. You're growing it to 6 figures. You've got more followers. Yeah. And most importantly, like, you're making an impact on other people. Yeah. Right? Exactly. Now it's like Amber is not just influencing and tricking her way out of class. Yeah. But she's actually like truly influencing, making a positive impact, and people are starting to notice you. Yeah. What happens next?
And then 2020, like you said, hit, and that was a very pivotal moment in everyone's life, obviously, because of COVID and everything. But for me specifically, there was a lot of other things that went down in 2020. Yep. So
beyond the pandemic?
Yeah. Way beyond the pandemic.
I mean, more? How can that be?
I know. So basically.
Thanks, Carolyn.
In 2020, I ended up having a lot of health issues, and I got diagnosed with stage 4 endometriosis. Oh. And I ended up having to have a surgery for that in, I think it was June or July of 2020.
Oh, right in the middle. Yeah. They fit you in?
Yeah.
They got you in surgery?
Oh, yeah, I needed it. So, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's crazy how things work, because for endometriosis, I didn't even know what the heck endometriosis was. A lot of people probably don't.
Tell us what it is.
It's where, it's so hard to explain, but where like the lining from it's for a woman. The lining in your uterus goes outside of your uterus into other areas of your body. Okay. And it can be worse than the stage that I have. It can actually go to your brain, but mine was up till my respiratory tract. So basically it would affect my heart rate. It would affect the way that I was breathing. It affected a lot of things. I lost so much weight. So honestly, everything I gained in those few years of growing my business and building my body to being more confident, I lost everything.
You lost your biceps? You
did.
lost your butt?
Yeah.
You lost everything? Oh no. What are we going to do now?
I did.
Okay.
And yeah, I was like 80 pounds and 20 years old. And
that's small, Amber.
it was really bad. And this time I was actually unhealthy. It wasn't like, oh, she's just petite and small.
Yeah.
But I was like sick, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, and I still ate a lot, but I couldn't work out the same. It was very hard for me to get out of bed. I just had like a lot of things going on during that time. Honestly, I can't even remember everything, but it was bad. Like I struggled a lot. So I had a surgery. It was supposed to be like 2 hours long. It was supposed to be like an hour and a half, actually. It ended up being 8 hours, and I had multiple surgeries in one.
8 hours?
8 hours. Yeah.
Ooh.
And I had multiple surgeries. I also got my appendix removed. That was the first thing my dad did.
Yeah, while you're at it, why don't you just remove a kidney and a spleen? And
it was
who needs that long?
It was so funny when I woke up from anesthesia. This was my first time being put to sleep, right?
Yeah.
I woke up and you're like loopy, and 8 hours of anesthesia, you're like drugged, right? Like bad.
Oh, that's heavy.
Yeah, like heavy. And I'm tiny, right? 80 pounds, imagine. So I wake up, and the first thing I remember is my dad showing me my appendix. And he's like, look what they took out.
On the phone?
No,
or like
in person, in the little tube. And I was like, dude, what the heck?
How does that happen? Oh, you can't make this up.
Yeah, I'm like stressed right now. Like, I don't even know what just happened. Where am I? Did they take all my organs? Like, I don't know, you know? They took my appendix. I don't even know what that is, but they took it.
Yeah.
You know? So, yeah, that was very stressful. And then from there, around that time, I was just reflecting a lot on my life and, you know, what I want to do and who I want to be. And I realized that.
Like during recovery?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, even before that, but during recovery heavily, I did reflect a lot. And I had to relearn how to like digest food, walk again, do all those things. So I was in like a very difficult place.
Yeah.
But thankfully I had a really good support system. I had the best surgeon ever, and like it was amazing, and it turned out just great, thank God. So from there, basically I was reflecting a lot on my life and what I wanted to do, and I realized that fitness wasn't the thing that I wanted to be my thing.
Okay.
It just happened because it was a passion. It turned into an income and also my lifestyle, but I'm like, this is not necessarily what I wanted to be my business. I want to be an entrepreneur, but I don't want to be like a fitness coach forever.
Okay.
And it didn't feel fulfilling to me anymore because I realized that I don't want to be known for my body and how I look. And I get it as a fitness coach. For anyone out there, like obviously you're going to hire a fitness coach that has a good body and
of course,
fit, right? Because you are going to be inspired by them and want to look like them or whatever it is, right? And so I just felt like that didn't sit right with me anymore. I'm like, I have more to offer than just how I look and things like that. So then I ended up writing a book during recovery. So I was bored, like really bored, and I had nothing else to do.
A book.
So I wrote a book, and it was called Finding Your Fit, A Guide to Living Your Best Life.
Yeah.
And it was about the 5 dimensions of wellness. So your physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, and social well-being, and how to master all 5 to live a well-rounded, fit life. Because prior to having the surgery and all of that stuff, I thought that being fit meant physically fit. Yeah. And then after I went through like real life struggles and like life, you know, I realized that it was so much more than the physical aspect. It's all of those. So then I wrote a book on it, and then less than 24 hours, I hit bestseller. And then, from there, then there I transitioned my brand from fitness coaching into business coaching. And I started working with a lot of people in the fitness industry at first. And then from there, it just started expanding and growing. And so that was kind of 2020.
You had an 8-hour surgery.
Yeah.
You self-reflected. You wrote a book. You got on the bestseller. You no longer wanted to be known for boobs and butts and your body, right? But you went through that beforehand and you learned to pivot. Yeah. I love that. I really, really love that. And that book, what was the title of it again? Finding Your Fit, A Guide to Living Your Best Life. Finding Your Fit, A Guide to Living Your Best Life. Check that out on Amazon. And it has the word best in there. And you know the topic today is doing your best.
Yeah.
That is a great segue into doing your best.
Mhm.
I absolutely love that. Charlie, thanks for hopping on today. Charlie is a awesome realtor and a friend of mine, and I just love collaborating with him. Thanks for joining us. So tell us about doing your best. Like, what does it mean to you? What does it look like?
Yeah.
When did it really, when was it a challenge to do your best? What have you learned about that? Because there's a lot that we can go here. And we want people to share also in the comments regarding doing your best. Share a story with us. And of course, you can hop on. So I'm going to throw the link right now that you can hop on live, just like Carlton did. In the meantime, tell us, what does it mean to be doing your best?
Oh my goodness, that is a big question. What does it mean to be doing your best? I think it means something different for everyone. For me personally, it's just showing up to the best of your best. I don't know how else to explain it. To the best of your ability every single day.
Okay.
And I feel like that's a hard question, because when you told me about the topic, I was like, I like this and I want to do this, but I also know I'm going to struggle, because every single day I know I am showing up to the best of my ability, but also some days you have those days where you're like, oh, that was not the best. Like, I could have done way better than that.
Yeah.
But I think that's a big part of doing your best. I know it makes no sense how I'm like explaining it, but like when you are trying to do your best, you realize that, okay, that wasn't my best self.
Okay.
But now let me be better because of that. Does that make sense?
Say that one more time.
What did I say? How basically, if you show up and you do something that's not your best, you look back at it later and be like, okay, that wasn't my best, but now I'm going to show up better.
You're going to learn from it.
Exactly.
It's like a data point.
Yes.
And you're going to self-reflect beforehand.
Yeah.
Love it.
Exactly.
Love it. Nuggets everywhere. Write this stuff down.
Yes. And I love the comment there how it says it can be minute by minute for some. It's literally minute by minute for me. Lately it has been. I used to be like way better at this, I think, but now obviously as you get older and as you have different chapters of your life and different things you go through and seasons, which I'm sure everyone here is dealing with something in their life, or they have or will, where, you know, it's hard to show up as your best. But the thing is, where you self-reflect, look back at yourself and figure out, okay, I didn't like the way that I acted. I didn't like the way that, you know, my life is turning out. I don't like XYZ. So what can I do to make a difference now and make sure that I'm having the best life that I can? And for everyone, it's going to be different, like I mentioned, because what is best to me might not be the best to you. And what's best to you isn't going to be the best to me, you know? So it's different for everyone.
Where can we apply that in our lives, everybody? Think about that. Like, just reflecting back and seeing where maybe you didn't show up your best. And instead of beating ourselves up about it, just learning from it and recognizing how we can do better. That's actually a nightly practice that I do, because, you know, I like to go to bed early. But part of the nightly practice, one of the 4 agreements I have with myself at night, 4 agreements, did you catch that? One of the 4 agreements I have with myself is a mixture of self-reflection and gratitude, just looking back on the day, like, where did I get a win? What did I do really well? And what could I have done better?
Yeah.
And not beating myself up about it, but just recognizing that. And then it drops into me, head and soul, heart, and then you go to bed, right? So you're almost like reading your own book.
Yeah.
You're reading your own brain book, and then it's integrating into you while you go to sleep.
Yeah.
And then something else you said there, is 1 minute at a time, which I love what Heather just said there. Thank you so much, Heather, for chiming in. Heather's awesome. She always has great comments. Uncle Elon, he would literally at times check in with himself every 5 minutes. Now, I know that's a little bit crazy, right? But really think about this.
I should do that.
Think about that's us like, yeah, we're going to do it. We're going to hold each other accountable, right? But here's what I like. Here's something I would do with you is if we were to do that, like at 6, at 9, at 12, at 3, at 6, and at 9, right? Almost like every 3 hours. So then you invest 5 or 10 minutes, you set a time on those hours to look back and say, what did I do well? What didn't I do well? And you know what? I still have time to keep doing this. I'm going to make up for what I didn't do. Or I'm going to close that loop, or I'm going to make that extra phone call. I'm going to send that extra text, right? I'm going to ask that tough question. We're all in sales. I know sales got a bad rap over the years, but I'm here to say that we are leveling up sales and we're selling from the heart, and we're selling only to create goodness and only to create winning situations for everybody. We're not selling anybody anymore. It's just a term, okay?
Yeah.
But the point is, yeah, I like the fact that you would self-reflect on yourself regularly.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's huge. And I think also like where I grew up and also the religion that I practice.
Yep.
It's a big thing too, where we pray 5 times a day. I'm Muslim, so I pray 5 times a day.
You're Muslim, so you pray 5 times a day.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's like a obligation we have to do. So I pray 5 times a day, and each time that I pray, not always, but I'm doing my best, where I try now to incorporate more self-reflection as well. You know, where of course I pray my regular prayer, then I talk to God and add a little bit to that. And then from there, I want to sit down and like reflect on, okay, what have I done today or in this beginning part of the day or afternoon or evening or whatever time it is. And then just reflecting on it and thinking back to it and thinking about, okay, how can I do better so that way I'm pleasing God, because that's kind of like my mission in life, you know. It's different for everyone, but for me, that's what it is.
Yeah, I like that. And I don't know if you all felt that out there, but just while I was sitting here and she said that, I was like, like there was that moment where she was just so grounded and just speaking from a flow state. And it was like that fire was inside Amber. And that's really what it's all about, right? It's hard sometimes to get that fire, but you're connecting with something bigger than yourself.
Yes.
That's big. That is epic. Connecting with something bigger than yourself. Taking it off of you. I thought about that yesterday a couple times, right? Like, okay, I've got this guest coming into my loft tomorrow, and wait, I've got to do this. And then again, I remember, and I'm like, dude, it's not about you. Yep. You're in your head because you're thinking about you and how you're going to look. Stop, pattern break, make it about Amber. And once I started thinking about Amber, like, okay, I'm going to meet her downstairs. She's going to walk in. I'm going to be thinking about this. And I'm just going to create that space for her to share. Then it was like, I didn't have to be in my head anymore.
Yeah.
Right. Thinking of something bigger, not yourself. Getting out of your own head and making it about the other person. And Amber did that for so long throughout her life, as you see, whether it was writing her book, whether it was, I still love the teacher thing is the best. The teacher thing. But you were making about people in the fitness industry. You were making about other people. So yeah, that's really good. Tell me a little bit about, I want to just mention this comment here. As long as you choose to do your best every day, then you could be content. So I love that word content. No need to beat yourself up if you didn't accomplish all that you set out. Frank, you are super smart. I appreciate you hopping on YouTube. By the way, I love your picture on there. The point, though, is about being content. Yeah. Right? Like always wanting better for yourself and wanting more, but at the same time, being content about yourself. Yeah. And it probably helps to pray. Yeah. To do that, right?
It does. Yeah. It brings more peace. I feel like when you hear the word content, a lot of times people think, oh, you're not doing more. But the way that you described it is kind of like having peace with where you're at, but still wanting better, and then not beating yourself up about if you didn't accomplish, you know, what your goals are right now, and kind of working towards it, self-reflecting. How can we do better?
Yeah. 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 It's a great point. What about regret? Ooh. Sometimes I regret things. Yeah. Right?
We all do.
That I didn't do, or it seems like I think that I regret things more that I haven't done than things that I have done.
Really?
Yeah. Because when I look at things that I have done, and if they were stupid or silly, it's like, it really didn't cause much damage. And most of the time, nobody else even remembers it anyway. It's more just me. So I would say that I regret more the things I haven't done than the things I have done. Yeah. So how does regret play into you, and what do you think about that?
Regret, oh my goodness. Let's see that.
Because that goes, it's like a dichotomy with doing your best, right?
It is. I think for me, I do regret a lot of things that I've done actually as well, but I try not to beat myself up about it as much anymore, and like, you know, find peace in it and realize that, okay, it was a lesson. I should learn from it rather than hold on to it and let it weigh me down and turn me into a bad person, or turn me into, you know, whatever I want to characterize myself as. That wasn't me. That was, you know, certain things that maybe I was dealing with or going through, and I try to give myself empathy and compassion through that. But I think having regrets of not doing things is a huge thing as well. And someone like me who's go, go, go and constantly wanting to accomplish things and working on things, I feel like I don't regret not doing anything because I know that I'm going to be able to do the things that I set my mind to, if that makes sense.
It does make sense.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think that also comes with like time and things like that as well. You know, because when a lot of my friends and peers are older than me, I'm pretty young for like being an entrepreneur and getting to where I am at this age. So I think for me, I don't really have regrets because regrets in that aspect because I started young and I know I have so many years to accomplish the things that I want to do. Where I know where I talk to my dad or I talk to a lot of my friends who are, you know, older than me, maybe in their 30s or 40s, and they're like, oh, I regret not starting when I was your age, or I regret not doing it when, you know, I had the chance. And I think that helps me too, because now I learn from things that my friends have done where like you can tell me stories about things that you wish you did. And then I could be like, you know what? I don't want that to happen to me. So I'm going to learn from your mistake and make sure that I do this.
Yeah.
You know, so I think it's also helpful to have people to surround yourself with who have a lot of experience and things like that. So that helps in that aspect for me. But regret is normal. Just try to look at it with giving yourself a grain of salt and doing your best, like you said, whatever you can with it.
Taking it with a grain of salt. Yeah, not beating yourself up, right?
Yeah.
And that is a challenge for me at times, not beating myself up.
Yeah.
Right? Looking at the years where I might have partied or I was hooking up with whoever and just doing crazy stuff. And you know, business was like, wow, imagine like I made so much money. And imagine if I would have done different things with that money and the opportunities there were. I just didn't see it, right? But at the same time, it's all part of our journey. Yeah. Right. Exactly. And that just assisted me. So thank you, because I sometimes go back to that, like, why didn't I do this or why didn't that happen? So, and that's why I like being around entrepreneurs. Most of the people I'm around are younger because they're inspiring me. Yeah. And I admire what they do. And I'm like, you know what? This is forward thinking. Yeah. This is the way that the world is going. And so many of us were sold like a different lifestyle. Yeah. Right. Go to college, get a house afterwards, get 2 cars, 2.3 kids, retire when you're 65. I don't even know what that word retire is. Yeah. And then you're happy. And it's like, okay, that sounds great. And it's okay if you're doing that. That is not a judgment. It's just my opinion. It didn't work for me, which is why I switched it out in 2020. But we're talking about Amber now. Tell me what this means to you, because I share this a lot. I like to say we're all doing the best we can with what we have at this time and always. What do you think about that term? Because I get heat for that. Heat for it? Really? No, Dave, people aren't always doing their best. No, they're not doing their best. No, I'm not always doing my best. Like I get I get people firing at me, you know, people are a little fiery now. Yeah. Okay. So what do you think about that? We're all doing the best that we can at this time. We are. Yeah. I think if you're heated by that statement, then that means that you have some reflection to do, which is great. Like, don't look at it as, oh, who are you and why are you saying this, and stop talking. Be like, okay, what can I take from this? And I'm not doing my best, and clearly it's triggering me for some reason. So now you can reflect on things that you can do to better yourself to become your best. And like we said, being your best doesn't mean that you're perfect. It's more so about being the best version of you that you can be, right? Not a version of someone else. And that's kind of my whole quote, like what it all revolves around, like be it until you become it, be the version of you that you want to be. Yeah. I always tell people this, it's not the whole fake it till you make it. It's not, you know, stepping into the version of like Kim Kardashian, or I want to be like this person, or I want to be like Dave, or I want to be like whoever's watching this live. No, it's like, what version of myself do I want to be? Because if you try to show up as a secondhand version of someone else, you're never going to feel fully fulfilled or like you're doing your best, because that's not you, you know? So that's a big, big portion of the quote that I live by and share and constantly am talking about, and also what we're talking about in today's conversation. Yeah. I like that. And it comes down to giving yourself grace too. Yeah. And that's really important. Like, let's not beat each other up. Imagine like if we were to talk or act towards somebody else the way that we act towards ourselves. Yeah. people would be like, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Why are you doing this to me?
Yeah, for sure.
So remember that, right? Let's give ourselves some grace.
Yeah. And I think also like doing your best, a big thing that I heard this quote somewhere, someone talking about how you should it sparked something in me when you just said that, how you should treat yourself as your own best friend. And since we're talking about best, it's like, okay, be your bestie. So how would you treat your best friend?
Be your bestie.
Be your bestie. So that way you could be your best.
Yeah.
So like, think about it. Like, how would you treat your best friend? You're going to pamper her. You're going to compliment her. You're going to speak life and love and all these great things into her and be so kind to her and all the good things, right? You're not going to be rude and negative and put her down.
Yeah.
So I think that's a big thing. I personally don't always live like that, but I do want to start doing that. And I think after this conversation, I'm motivated now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to be my own bestie.
I love that. Be your own bestie.
Yeah.
We've got a lot of nuggets going on here. The show is just flying by. I love all these comments. I love that people, excuse me, are hopping in live. And I love that we're just being our authentic selves, right? I need a drink of water.
It's okay.
I'm going to hand this book to Amber.
Okay.
And turn it around and show everybody what the book is.
The 4 Agreements. This is a good one because when I walked in, he showed me this and you said, this is why we're talking about the topic that we're talking about because it's one of the agreements. And I was like, wait, really? I didn't know that it was, but it's so funny because this book was literally the start to my journey in social media and entrepreneurship and everything.
I love that.
It's so funny because in college, I remember sitting in my apartment in front of a window. And this was when I was making Instagram stories, trying to talk more about, motivation and well-being and mindset and really, really diving into that. And I read this book and 4 agreements. I read, each agreement and then I would go on and talk about each agreement. Yeah. I'm sure if you really look in my Instagram, it's probably somewhere there, but like years and years and years ago. Yeah. But it's so funny because that was the start to everything for me.
That book.
Yeah, like a big part of the business side for me and stepping into the mindset that I have today.
I love that.
So I loved when you showed me this book. I'm like, oh my God.
Well, my buddy Jimmy said to bring up this book because here's the 4th agreement, right?
Yes. Always do your best. Your best is going to change from moment to moment. It will be different when you are healthy as opposed to sick. Under any circumstance, simply do your best and you will avoid self-judgment, self-abuse, and regret.
That's a nugget right there.
Yeah.
My book was The Alchemist.
Okay.
That was my book.
Yeah.
So this was your pivotal book. Yeah. My book was The Alchemist. That literally gave me the courage to leave my previous career and start from zero again and get into real estate.
Really?
And it was during COVID.
Oh,
yeah.
Nice.
I figured, the world was in flux. Nobody knew what was going on. Yeah. I may as well just leave my multiple 6-figure job with great insurance and great security. I may as well just leave because nobody knows what's going on in the world anyway and start from zero. And let me tell you, it worked out great. It worked out great. So we talked a little bit about this before in the beginning. We talked about boundaries. We talked about saying no. Yeah. Right. And a little bit about what I call energy sovereignty. Okay. Who are you willing to share your energy with? That's your output. And who are you willing to take in energy wise? Tell us a little bit about that.
That's big. I think who you surround yourself with says a lot about you as a person, but also it makes who you are as a person as well, which is huge. Because if you're surrounding yourself with people who are constantly partying or every single Friday night they're going out to the next club or this or that. And I don't have a problem with partying, but like it's just not the lifestyle I live or what I care for and what I want to do with my free time.
Yes.
Here and there for celebrating a birthday or doing something, celebrating a really big achievement or whatever, not even big, but an achievement or whatever. That's fine. I'm totally down with that, but not just a regular day where we're going out and doing all these things. I'm like a regular day, Monday evening, let's go to the club. It's like, no, that's not me. And I think it's really important to just surround yourself with people who you look up to and who make you want to do better and also make you kind of be like, wow, like that person is so disciplined or that person is they have certain characteristics in them that I wish I had. surrounding yourself with those type of people who inspire you, uplift you, make you want to become a better version of yourself is so important. So important. So I'm very limited with the people that I put in my bubble. People say like, Amber, you're a social butterfly. You have so many friends, all this, and that. I do have a lot of friends. I do have a lot of, I wouldn't even say they're all friends. They're just like acquaintances. I know a lot of people. I'm friendly with everyone that I meet. But that doesn't mean that I'm besties with all these people. I have very, very like a handful of people who are my go-tos, and I know the minute I call them, they'll be there for me. And I think as you get older, you realize those things too, because it's like more experience. You realize that even the people that you would expect to be there for you aren't always going to be there for you either, And it kind of like made me sad actually this past year, where I realized that people that I've gone above and beyond for have not reciprocated that for me. But I think that's a big part of learning how to have boundaries and respect for yourself, and learning how to say no as well, because the minute that they come, they expect so much from you. But if you're not getting that in reciprocation, I'm not saying you need to tally every single thing, but you know what I mean? You realize after time, like, wow, the only time I hear from this person is when they need something, or the only time I hear from this person is when XYZ. It's not ever a check-in. It's not ever, let's go do this, or let me help you with this. I saw you posted this. Are you doing okay, or whatever? It's just when they need something. So I think it's important to kind of think about those things. And it can be a little bit sad to go through that and reflect on your friendships and the people in your life, but it's also really great because then it opens up room for other people that you can allow into your life, which is really, really cool and amazing. And it's scary, but it's also cool.
Did you write that down? Because that right there, those were life lessons right there. Recognizing that there is social capital. And there is an exchange of value between people. And it's not that we have to tally it, but at the same time, you start to pick up, like, are people calling you up? Are they hitting you up because they always want something? Or is it because they really care about you? Like, you can tell about the vibe with people. You just know that. And setting boundaries, right? Yeah, it's okay if people go and party. Like, I stopped drinking over 10 years ago, and my life, do I still meet people out at bars or go to parties? Sure. Do I do it a lot? Not really. But I'm okay with it. It's not that other people are bad. It's just for me, it was a boundary that I had to set for myself after self-reflecting, and recognize that who do I really want to surround myself with, and who am I becoming to attract the right people in my circle. So you really said some good things there. And somebody said something before too, Nicole Crowley.
Okay.
She said something that was very interesting a couple podcasts ago. She said that when you admire somebody else and what they do, the only way that you can recognize what you admire in them is because you already have it in yourself. Isn't that wild?
That is wild.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. And to me, that's the Amber smile there. That's my favorite. I love the Amber smile. That was good. That was such a self-reflection to me, because think about so many people that we admire and that we look up to, when really it's like, even just recognizing what we look up to, I don't like to even say that. It's because we already have it in ourselves. And it's just waiting to come out, right?
That's cool. I like that.
Thanks for that boundary share. Patty, thanks for joining us. We appreciate you hopping on the show. Hello again. So, how do you meet people then? Because you are a social butterfly. And I've had people say that about me too. Oh, you know everybody. But most of the time I'm going back to my place alone, right? I'm not hanging out with all these people. So how do you meet people, or do you even think about it until it happens? You just kind of go do your thing, and then like, what advice can you give to us, like, as we're growing our networks? And as we're surrounding ourselves with the right people, what's some kind of advice that you could give us? And what kind of mindsets could we have when we're doing that, right? What do we watch out for?
I think definitely putting yourself out there is important. You can't just sit at home and expect these people to show up somehow. Or,
Knock. Hey, come on in, millionaire.
Right?
Come on in, hot partner, right?
Exactly.
Sure.
So you do have to put yourself out there. Networking events are great. That's a huge reason I started doing what I do now, which is hosting like events and, all of this stuff.
Her events are great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So I think that is really important, putting yourself out there, going to networking events, finding people in your community. So let's say you're in real estate, for example, then finding real estate groups or real estate events revolved around your niche. So those people will understand you because, they're in the same career path. They're,
sure.
Might have some similarities in some ways. So that can be really good. Those are honestly the ways that I do it. I don't really do much more than that, to be honest. Just networking events, obviously meeting people through social media is the biggest thing right now. We have so much accessibility to people all over the world, which is great.
Yes.
So social media, if you're not taking advantage of it, I meet so many clients on there who end up becoming great friends of mine, even just like people in general, friends through social media that are great, great, great people. So that's a big thing I would take advantage of if you aren't already doing. And then what was the other question you asked after? You asked what to be aware of?
Yeah, what to be aware of.
Yeah.
Right, when you're going out. Like you're going out to a party or you feel uncomfortable, or maybe you're just going to be around some people that you just don't know.
I would say I'm a very open book and I open myself up to people very, very easily. But I think I've learned throughout the time that you don't want to share everything until you really know that you can fully trust someone. That's a big thing because I've been taken advantage of a lot for like my age. I've been taken advantage of a lot in so many different areas of my life. And it sucks. It really does. And it's like painful. And it's people that I thought would be friends of mine and people who were friends of friends. And I'm like, okay, how could you do that to me when I was there for these people in certain times that they were going through or certain things that whatever, right? I'm sure you all have experienced it in some way, shape, or form. And if you haven't, then you're blessed, honestly. So like, I think just being aware of that, you learn as you go. You kind of have to go through those things so you realize when it's coming up and you're having a conversation with someone, you might spot out the red flag now, where prior you wouldn't have known that red flag. So a big part is putting yourself out there and being vulnerable, but also learning through those experiences and not just being a free-for-all all the time, but learning, okay, this is similar to something that I encountered a while ago and it didn't turn out that well. So let me keep my guard up a little bit. And I think having your guard up in general is a good thing. Honestly, people say that, oh, you should be able to like be yourself. I'm not saying don't be yourself. I'm just saying you don't have to share all of you. I don't think anyone should really be able to know like everything about you. And a lot of people take that as a weird thing. But I even think when you're in a relationship or when you're, with your best friends and things, you still shouldn't share everything about yourself because then you're giving away so much of you that it's like, what do you have? What relationship do you have with yourself that other people, you know what I mean?
I love that. I love that. You're almost giving away your power.
Yeah.
Right? Like you're sharing, oh, these are my goals for the year. And it's almost like your brain then thinks that you're accomplishing them because everyone's like, hey, cool, that's going to be great. And it's like, you didn't do shit.
Yeah. That's why they say don't share your goals until like you actually are working on them or they happen. Or even your vulnerabilities, like know who you're sharing with them with, because some people will take advantage or use them against you. Or, when a certain time frame comes up, they start saying things and you're like, well, I told you that in confidence and I told you these things and, trusting you, and now you're using it against me, or you're talking behind my back with someone else. And now I know I'm not going to come and talk to you about this because, you are mean and you talked behind my back.
Oh, that sounds like it brought up a little memory there.
You are mean and you talk behind my back. So just things like that, So keep your blinders up.
I like that. Isn't it better to love and lose than to never love at all?
Yeah, but I think that, probably.
It sucks to get stomped on though, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Yeah. But I think, it is, because then it's like, okay, you know how much you were able to give, and hopefully one day someone will be able to like give that back to you. At least you're doing everything in your power to make someone feel that way. Even if you haven't felt that way, you can give that feeling to someone else, which is like really, really great. You're like being able to do that in someone else's life. So that's cool. But of course, everyone wants to feel that back.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
And it sounds like you're doing your best in that part too.
I am.
Yeah, that's really good. I love that. Oh my. Well, we are over an hour and that's okay. Instagram already shut us off because you can't go longer than an hour.
Oh, really?
On a live stream, at least from a third party.
Okay.
Right. And we're on a third party here. We're going through, but yeah, they shut off. Big thing came up. Like, sorry, Instagram.
Go away.
Okay, Zuck. Sorry about that, man. All right, so tell us about as we round out the show here on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on YouTube, and of course the replay on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. The sun is shining more. I'm a little washed out here, but it's because Amber is just bringing out the sunshine as we're live from the loft. So we're going to close out big. Tell us about when you and I are sitting here 1 year from now.
Mm-hmm.
What are we celebrating for you?
Oh, for me? Oh,
yes,
my goodness.
For you. What are we celebrating for you?
Okay, that's
1 year
fun.
from now.
That's exciting. Oh my gosh, what are we celebrating? So many things.
I don't know. You tell me. I don't know.
I don't know either.
It could be a challenge that you got through.
Okay.
Right? It could be a challenge that you got through. It could be something you've been working on. And again, don't share too much.
Yeah.
Leave us hanging a little bit. Leave us curious. Right?
Okay.
And don't give out that power too much. But
yeah,
maybe you could just give us a little hint of something to come.
Yeah. Okay. I think two things. So one thing, like internally, I feel like I will be super at peace and happy with myself. That's a big one. I am happy with myself, but I think I do want to find more peace and be happier and be better. So I think that's going to be a constant thing. But yeah, that's one of them internally.
I love that. Yeah.
The other thing, which is more career-wise in that aspect, I definitely want to level up my events in a huge way. Ooh, balloons.
Yeah.
Level up my events in a really, really big way. And also I have some really fun business ideas that I'm kind of diving into, but like more like passion projects that I'm starting, but I don't know what's going to happen with it yet. I'm still working on it and I don't want to share what it is yet, but
don't.
Hopefully that'll be something that's really big and exciting too.
I love that.
Celebrate.
I love that.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. I am always available if you want to start a business. And I say that to people like, hey, you want to start a business again? What it is, it's creating the space, right? There's no pressure. It's always like, hey, if you ever have an idea that you want to run by me, I am always open for new opportunities. Although real estate is my number one game and my number one gig for the last 4 years, and I love it. What's nice about real estate is it gives you some flexibility in hours, although it's so many hours. It's hard, but I love it. There's always opportunities, right, to grow and to build a brand and to be challenged in other areas. So, I'm always open to hear if you want a sounding board, and there's always confidentiality with me. You know that.
Thank you.
Yeah, got it.
Right
so
back at you.
We are through, but
Yay.
Remember, it just begun, right? The journey just began. There's so much that we learned today about Amber, about struggles, about doing your best, about giving yourself grace, about scamming teachers on grades, about telling people I don't want to hang out with you. But you get it. There's so many things that we learned today, and we are super grateful that you joined us on Live Beyond Default live stream episode number 80, live from the loft in downtown Arlington Heights. So we're going to be on 3 weeks from now because we're on the 1st and the 3rd Thursday of every month, and there's an extra Thursday in January. So we're not going to be on again until the first Thursday of February, which is 3 weeks from now. So thank you to Amber for showing up early in Arlington Heights and doing this and really opening up to everybody, because not only did we learn a lot about you in the business aspect, but we learned a lot about you personally. And deep down inside, we all have a heart and we're all human. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. This was so much fun. Thanks for everyone who tuned in live or on the replay. I appreciate you. You're the best.
Thank you too. So remember, always, this is what Gabby said. Pick up your phone later today and text somebody, I'm thinking of you. You're going to make somebody's day by doing that. Thank you again for watching. And until next time, make it a great day, make it a great week, and we love you.